If we treat the world we see as truly real, then something unsettling follows. The observer, drawn forth from the universe itself, has, through simply observing, somehow conjured the universe into reality. For a moment, that everything you've ever understood about existence is mistaken. Maybe the universe isn't a cold, distant thing that ticks on regardless of your presence, but something fragile, waiting for eyes to open, for minds to take notice, to bring it into being. That idea rattled physicist John Wheeler, who once suggested that reality isn't steadfast or observer-proof. Instead, it shudders into existence only when someone is there to witness it. This participatory anthropic principle quietly shifts meaning, suggesting that reality needs us, not just as spectators, but as the reason the show even starts at all. What a lonely thought that everything, from galaxies to Sunday afternoons, might fade and vanish without our notice. Life isn't a solid fact, it's a strange, shared motion, something haunted by the possibility that it only happens because we're looking. If this fragile bond between awareness and reality is true, then nothing is permanent, and everything we hold certain flickers with doubt. The participatory anthropic principle does more than question what is real. It aches with the possibility that, in the end, reality itself is little more than our own ephemeral reflection, echoing back at us from the void, gone when no one is listening. To unravel this, step into the quantum realm, where the familiar becomes uncanny and the boundaries of reality blur. The notorious double-slit experiment reveals a chilling truth: electrons slip between identities, their very nature contorting in response to observation. Left unwatched, they dissolve into waves, haunting the void, their presence a suggestion rather than a certainty. But the moment they're scrutinized, the masquerade ends. They congeal into particles, as if forced into coherence by the invasive gaze. Wheeler twisted the knife further. This isn't a harmless oddity, but a monstrous revelation about existence. The act of observing doesn't simply lay reality bare, it conjures it. Existence itself trembles beneath our gaze, taking shape only when noticed. We're not witnesses to a passive universe. We're entangled in a grim dance with reality, each glance binding us tighter to the abyss. If our attention carves the world from chaos, what lurks unseen, and what, in turn, watches us from the darkness? Are we puppets or gods trapped in our own reflection? Think carefully before you search further. To pull at these threads is to risk unraveling more than you bargained for. For those who dare, I've unearthed the Kalian, an ancient Hermetic text that delves into the haunting link between consciousness and existence, echoing Wheeler's disturbing thesis. Let your curiosity guide you, but beware, some mysteries aren't meant to be gazed at for long. Simply follow the link below, type in your email, and begin unraveling the mysteries of existence. Now, let's reflect on what Wheeler's theory implies for us. If the universe depends on observation to exist, then nothing around us, our experiences, our decisions, even time, can be called certain. The flow of past, present, and future may not be orderly, but instead tangled, a collection of moments shaped and reshaped by awareness itself. We're not mere spectators, but participants whose every thought and perception quietly alters the fabric of reality. Wheeler likened this to a self-sustaining loop. We see the universe, and in being seen, it comes into being, only for us to observe it again in an endless round, with consciousness inescapably at its heart. This isn't just an abstract idea. The signs of such deep interconnection are scattered everywhere, from ecosystems held together by delicate relationships to our own lives, where every conversation and gesture shapes the world in subtle ways. In line with Wheeler's view, reality seems to survive on these connections, on the ceaseless interplay between observer and observed. Yet there's a shadow in all this. If reality arises from being noticed, what fills the empty spaces where no gaze falls? Do whole universes slip into silence and dissolve into absence without an observer to hold them in place? This haunting possibility suggests that reality's strength comes from the multitude of watchers, countless presences peering across time, space, and realms that may forever remain beyond our reach. Every observer, be it human, animal, or even machine, quietly shapes this vast, unfeeling universe, helping to keep it from fading into nothing. If you've ever felt unsure whether your presence matters, Wheeler's theory offers a strangely haunting comfort. You do, in ways more concrete than philosophy, in the raw mechanics of existence itself. Without your gaze, your awareness, reality might never have solidified. This isn't some grand embellishment. It's a conclusion drawn from Wheeler's own studies, underlined by quantum physics. Yet in that revelation lurks an unsettling question. If existence requires someone to notice it, then what of the long darkness before any conscious eyes opened? Was there only emptiness, waiting to be witnessed, or does some greater silent observer cast its gaze, keeping the cosmos from collapse? Wheeler named it the participatory universe, a concept that leaves us stranded before the shadows of unknowable mysteries, and time, always slipping away, grows even less certain. In Wheeler's world, the past is fragile, formed only because we look back, built after the fact from our acts of witness. The present's touch can reshape what was, as Wheeler's delayed choice experiment chillingly suggests, where our current decisions ripple backward and rewrite the script of days already spent. This sounds impossible, yet evidence stacks up. Indifferent to our confusion, we've always stumbled in the twilight between perception and reality. Perhaps, as Wheeler hinted, the universe itself is as restless and uncertain as the minds moving through it. Even so, the knowledge brings little comfort. The world is only what we make of it, and what becomes of it when we are reality isn't fixed. It's dynamic, and we don't merely exist within it, we actively shape it. If the universe hinges on our involvement, what does that imply for how we understand life? Are we prepared to confront the consequences of being co-creators in a reality that arguably wouldn't exist without us? If observing the universe is what brings it into being, then what role does that assign to us? Are we just alive in the way we've always believed? Or are we something even deeper, conscious awareness taking part in reality's evolution? John Wheeler's participatory anthropic principle challenges all our assumptions about what it means to live, urging us to reconsider the whole notion of being. People have been wrestling with the definition of life for ages. Religions, philosophies, and sciences have each attempted to answer what sets life apart. Science points to mechanisms like metabolism, reproduction, and evolution as markers, yet Wheeler's ideas push us to see that those explanations, while practical, may not reach the core of the matter. Reality is contingent on our observation, then being alive isn't solely about the mechanics of biology. It is also about our engagement with existence itself. Being alive might have little to do with our physical forms. It might actually hinge on the conscious presence we bring to the world. This isn't a groundbreaking thought. After all, many ancient spiritual teachings have described life as a delicate interplay between the self and the vast universe. Hermetic philosophy, for example, speaks of the universe as a product of the mind, hinting that reality itself is shaped by thought. Similarly, Buddhist teachings suggest this world is not as solid as it seems, but a shifting illusion molded by perception. Modern thinkers like Wheeler picked up these old threads, dressing them in the terminology of physics. He suggested a universe that isn't complete until we witness it, a cosmos that depends on us to see it, to participate, to make it real. According to Wheeler, consciousness threads through the universe, tangling us into an endless circuit where reality is conjured through our gaze. If this is true, then none of us are as separate as we might wish to believe. Each of us is one small awareness, woven into something incomprehensibly vast, our sense of individual self quietly unraveled by this connection. It makes you wonder, if the world only exists because we're here to see it, then who are we really? If we're each just one brief moment in the endless loop of awareness, what happens to the parts of ourselves we thought were uniquely ours, our identities, our choices, our freedom? They start to feel faint, like distant echoes in an empty room, easily drowned out by the enormity of everything else. Picture this. If our universe is something we animate just by being here, then the idea of a separate self begins to crumble. Are we truly individuals, or only sinister echoes of a single vast consciousness flickering through different masks? Such questions have haunted humanity for millennia, but Wheeler's experiments drag them from shadowy philosophy into the cold light of science. Push the thought further. If to exist is to participate, death itself may become even more dreadful and ambiguous. In this tangled cosmos, the extinguishing of one observer barely flickers the greater darkness. The game goes on, consciousness crawling through millions of hosts, never letting the participatory current die, trapped in an endless feedback loop. Ancient traditions whisper about death as transformation. But here, transformation takes a more unsettling shape. Consciousness never really escapes, only morphs, forever entwined with the universe's machinery. Wheeler's vision twists our conception of time too. If reality forms from our observation, then the story of life is no comforting, predictable path from cradle to grave. Instead, it's a ceaseless negotiation with a universe forever shifting, restless, and hungry. Every choice and stray thought sends ripples across timelines, present, past, future, all blended into a churning mass. You felt it, perhaps moments when your intentions seem to bend the world, or memories shift their texture when you stare too hard at them. These are not accidents. They're glimpses of reality's grim secret. We are never mere spectators, and we are never truly alone. The cosmos stares back, and the game is never truly over. Life, as it unfolds, is more than mere survival. It's about touching, watching, and quietly reshaping the world as it slips past us. But what does it mean, really, to be alive? According to Wheeler, we are alive, but not in the straightforward way we might hope. Breathing, thinking, acting, these aren't enough. To live is to be entangled in the universe's endless, aching emergence. It's an uneasy duet between what we see and what comes to be. A dance where the observer and the observed merge and lose their edges. There's comfort in knowing we're not alone, adrift in an indifferent void, cut off from meaning. Instead, our very presence seems vital, the world somehow less complete without us. Yet, the same truth lays bare a deeper loneliness, reminding us, quietly, that we're never apart, never sovereign. We exist only because we are part of this endless web, unable to detach without becoming less than we are. But if existing is about joining in, what's left when we drift away, whether through numbness, distraction, or fear? Wheeler hints that stepping back leaves the world thinner somehow. Every glance, every fleeting moment of awareness counts for more than we imagine. When we turn away, both we and the world dim just a little more. This leaves us haunted, wondering if we help shape everything by noticing how much weight do we quietly carry. If we're co-authors of reality, each of us tangled in the beauty and the scars of the world, what do we owe to this universe that aches to be seen? Wheeler's theories imply that we're not just passive inhabitants of the universe, but active participants. And with that comes responsibility, not just privilege. But what does it genuinely mean to be alive? If life simply means operating biological machinery, then the answer is straightforward. Yes, we're alive. However, if life also encompasses conscious involvement, creativity, and sustained self-awareness, then it becomes a choice we continuously make. In Wheeler's participatory universe, being alive shifts from being a fixed condition to an ongoing performance. This perspective circles us right back to our opening question: if observation actually shapes reality, what part are we playing, and how does existence transform when we step fully into that participatory role? The participatory anthropic principle may sound speculative, but its origins are rooted in the peculiar findings of quantum physics. Wheeler's insight isn't locked away in theoretical equations or philosophical jargon. It's evident in everyday phenomena as well as in the subatomic world. Consider the well-known double-slit experiment, a seemingly straightforward test that has confounded scientists time and again. Fire electrons at a barrier with two openings, and if there's no observer, they behave like waves, producing an interference pattern. The moment they're observed, though, they switch to acting like particles, as if our awareness directly affects their state. This is at the heart of Wheeler's participatory anthropic principle, illustrating that our observation is intertwined with reality on the most fundamental level. Observation doesn't just alter reality, it calls it into being. The double-slit experiment is only a starting point, a quiet opening act before things get stranger. Wheeler's delayed choice experiment pushes the idea even further, revealing that the way we choose to observe a particle can seemingly reach back and reshape its past. Picture an electron, ghost-like, drifting as a wave when unobserved. Yet, if, at the last moment, you opt to measure it as a particle, everything shifts, and it adopts the history that fits your choice. Wheeler said it plainly: nothing truly happens unless it's witnessed. The universe, in this view, doesn't sit patiently, waiting to be discovered. It bends, reshapes itself, answering to our gaze. That thought carries a quiet melancholy. Reality isn't fixed or dependable, but delicate and contingent, waiting for someone to notice it so it can become real at all. Every moment, what we call existence is rewriting itself, not from any certainty, but from the flickering attention of conscious observers. It's less a universe that exists for us, and more one that's never certain it exists at all, unless someone is there to look. In the soft shadows of quantum rules, reality is never whole until observed, and perhaps it's lonelier than we imagined. This concept is everywhere. shaping the way we experience and decipher the world around us. Take optical illusions. Your brain effortlessly fills in blanks to create a complete image, and memories, rather than remaining static, are reconstructed anew whenever you remember them. The mind isn't simply a passive observer. It's actively helping to shape what you experience. This idea of participation goes beyond individual perspectives. It's evident in the web of nature, where all living things both affect and are affected by their surroundings. A forest is much more than a mere collection of trees. It's a finely balanced network of interactions bridging trees, fungi, animals, and even the air, producing something richer than just the sum of its pieces. According to Wheeler's theory, reality functions similarly, an interdependent network where observation and observed elements define one another. Our societies mirror this participatory structure. Two cultures, economies, and technologies continuously evolve through human perception, involvement, and cooperation. Changing how we view things can actually transform reality itself. Wheeler's principle gives us not only a lens into the quantum world, but also a framework for thinking about reality in general. Now, if nothing is watching, does reality simply disappear? Wheeler's answer is no. Rather, the universe draws its continuity from an unending series of observations happening throughout time and space. Picture the universe as a sprawling symphony, where every note arises from countless players, some fleeting, some persistent. Yet, the music goes on, even as individual instruments fall away one by one. In this vision, each observer, whether human, animal, or something without consciousness as we define it, helps keep the cosmic melody alive. But here's the ache at the heart of it. If observation itself shapes reality, then what becomes of those parts of the symphony we can't hear at all? What of the melodies our senses are too narrow to notice? Wheeler's ideas don't deny these missing pieces. They hint, quietly, that our version of reality might be nothing more than a small shard of something staggeringly larger in scope. Vast soundscapes playing on, just beyond what we can feel or fathom. The fragments we do grasp, colors we'll never see, sounds forever out of reach, dimensions we can only imagine, feel like echoes of a song we'll never fully hear. Science chips away at the darkness, technology grasping at the threads Wheeler sensed in the flickering hints of quantum connections, in the secrets our brains hide even from ourselves. Neuroscience, quantum physics, each field uncovers glimpses of a universe more intricate and elusive than our ordinary lives admit, entwined with us, yet stubbornly incomplete. Even so, Wheeler's vision stands on the edge, unsettling, beautiful, and never quite embraced by everyone. Many in the scientific community cling to the idea of an objective universe, one that's indifferent to our existence, governed by immutable laws, and blind to the presence of the observer. That notion offers a certain comfort, a cosmos that doesn't peer back when we gaze into its depths. Yet, Wheeler's vision subverts that security. Rather than dismissing science, he twisted its boundaries, suggesting that the observer is no mere witness but an ingredient, crucial, implicated, perhaps forever entangled. If clues to a participatory universe haunt our every experiment and observation, the implications gnaw at the very core of our identity. We are not spectators perched at the edge of a cosmic stage, but conspirators woven into the fabric of being. Each perception, each fleeting thought, stains the universe in ways we were never meant to see. The world is unmade and remade beneath our gaze, its realness flickering, uncertain, a ghost of possibilities, never quite settling, never letting us rest. And if this nightmare of entanglement is true, then reality defies our longing for certainty. It isn't stone and shadow but an undying process, consciousness and cosmos twisting around each other in the dark. Distinctions blur, boundaries dissolve. We are complicit in every dawn and dusk. But with this comes a chilling obligation. If every heartbeat, every choice, casts ripples too subtle for us to sense, what monsters or wonders are we unleashing? Do we peer into the void with hope? Or does the void peer through us, amplifying our fears, cementing our divisions? In the participatory universe, these are no longer abstract puzzles. They become the quiet threats shadowing every act of observation. If we play a role in shaping reality, what or who shapes us in return? Is there a possibility of a fundamental observer, a kind of universal mind, overseeing the flow of existence? Wheeler's participatory anthropic principle sparks just as many questions as answers, presenting mysteries that seem to stretch far beyond our current understanding. If reality itself hinges on observation, then this idea has a startling implication. We're not just inhabitants of the cosmos. but dynamic contributors to its very creation. Each thought, every perception, and every flicker of consciousness becomes a thread in the unfolding tapestry of reality. This isn't a distant, abstract theory. It's a striking call to recognize the real impact of participating and how this engagement shapes the universe and our own lives. Wheeler envisioned the universe as a self-sustaining circuit where observers and the things they observe are intertwined, each shaping the other. Within this view, we aren't mere bystanders adrift in a predetermined world. Our awareness is fundamentally interwoven with the origins of reality itself. So how does this notion translate to everyday experience? What practical forms does this participatory influence take? And how do we leverage it to affect our own worlds? To get a handle on this, we can start by looking at intention. Research in psychology and neuroscience shows that the ways we think and what we believe can dramatically steer our actions and perceptions. By focusing on particular outcomes or envisioning goals, our minds physically adjust, gradually transforming those possibilities into actualities. This phenomenon, called neuroplasticity, fits seamlessly with Wheeler's concept. Through observation and intention, we steer not only our mental states but perhaps even the underlying nature of reality. Think about it: every significant accomplishment in human history, building sprawling cities, journeying into space, started as a thought. These breakthroughs originated with people bold enough to envision possibilities beyond the present. Their unwavering attention and determination turned ideas into realities. Wheeler's perspective goes further, proposing that this isn't just a poetic idea. It's intrinsic to how reality functions. Our engagement shapes not only our individual lives, but also has an impact on the broader world. Importantly, participation isn't only about monumental feats. It happens quietly in our daily choices. Each observation, each choice we make, molds the environment around us. When we look at our lives with curiosity and openness, we pave the way for growth and mutual understanding. But if we face the world with indifference or fear, we breed separation and stagnation. In a universe where our participation counts, our actions resonate far beyond ourselves. The consequences of embracing this are profound. If seeing is what shapes existence, then our gaze isn't innocent. It's a blade, carving reality into whatever forms we demand. This is no mere hypothesis. The effects crawl into the cracks of our daily lives. Turn your awareness inward. Watch the thoughts slithering behind your intentions. Witness, if you dare, how these shadows pull the strings on your actions, taint your relationships, and twist the world into new and unpredictable shapes. Suddenly, reality doesn't feel like some sturdy ground, but more like a shifting skin that clings to the contours of your own consciousness. There's a primal thread that runs through old teachings, an echo that says the mind is a force of construction and destruction. Hermetic occultists whispered that the mind is not just a tool, but the master sculptor and executioner, shaping the world as easily as a waking nightmare. Even those ancient practices, meditation, visualization, weren't only about peace or light. They were about bending reality to the will, about merging the internal with the abyss beyond the self. These rituals, once scorned as mere arcana, now show up flickering on the edges of scientific study, hinting at dangerous depths in the mind's machinery. But Wheeler's principle takes us beyond the personal and into something colder, vaster, more unsettling. Collective observation doesn't only conjure our small private worlds, but infects the fabric of the cosmos itself. Picture the universe not as silent and still, but as a web vibrating with every act of observation. A web where your awareness is a contaminant, every glance a disturbance, spreading ripples from the atoms rotting under your nails to the most distant star. Inside this unknowable network, your mind is never alone, is entangled with everything, for better or for much worse. Our interconnectedness means our actions never happen in isolation. When we engage with awareness, we help foster the balance and unity of reality itself. Acting without awareness, on the other hand, can introduce chaos. This highlights the significance of intention. By observing with clarity and focus, we sync ourselves with the underlying current of existence, becoming active participants in the unfolding of the cosmos. Participation carries with it a certain responsibility. If our choices shape the world, then we share in the responsibility for its state. Wheeler's principle points out that our thoughts, speech, and behaviors send ripples far beyond our own lives. This isn't limited to individual progress. It's tied to the forward movement of us all. In a world built on participation, everyone is a part of the universal choreography. The question is, are we moving in step or throwing off the beat? This ties into the idea of possibility. If reality responds to observation, what's stopping us from shaping it however we wish? According to Wheeler, those barriers exist mainly in our perceptions, in our doubts, assumptions, and inherited beliefs. Pushing against our boundaries doesn't just expand our own horizons, it fractures the very shell of existence, sending ripples of possibility into the void. Imagine what that means for the fabric of society. When a critical mass fixates on the same vision, they do not merely beckon change. They summon it, writhing from the abyss into reality. History's shadows are littered with once dangerous ideas, flickers that, when collectively conjured, erupted into unstoppable forces. Civil rights uprisings, forbidden sciences, clandestine revolutions, these eruptions serve as grim reminders of the immense power we wield when united by shared purpose. But to join in is not only to shape what comes next, it is to confront the uncanny truths of the present. Wheeler's principle whispers that reality isn't fixed. It wriggles and twists beneath the scrutiny of those who dare to look. The world itself is a twitching thing, molded by the gaze and thought of every conscious being. In every passing moment lurks the potential for deeper engagement. Curiosity tainted by fear, creativity haunted by the unknown, connection that binds and ensnares. Our contributions become tangled threads in the universe's dark tapestry. This participatory anthropic principle is more than a speculative notion. It is a haunting summons. It dares us to see ourselves as architects of the real, to peer into the darkness with intent, to step into the role of accomplice and conspirator with existence. We are not idle witnesses drifting through a lifeless cosmos. We are shapers, architects, perhaps even the monsters, behind the shifting mask of reality, inscribing its fate with every act of perception. But if we are responsible for carving the universe, what unseen force sharpens us? Does some ancient, inscrutable intelligence pull our strings? Are we mere figments in a dream more vast and terrible than we can fathom? Aligning with such a force might grant us power, or annihilation, depending on what stirs within that abyss. If we truly play a part in creating reality, then what force lurks in the shadows, orchestrating the design we cannot see? John Wheeler's participatory anthropic principle teases us with a glimpse into our cosmic significance, yet it quietly shoves us toward questions that claw at the edges of sanity. What exists beyond the flimsy veil of our participation? Is there a primordial intelligence, a cold and inhuman consciousness, pulling the strings between observer and observed? Wheeler alluded to this possibility himself. He described the universe as a participatory loop. We bring reality into being by looking at it, but this cycle hints at something more, some unseen presence weaving reality together behind our backs. If we are the architects of existence, what darkness birthed the first observer? If everything is entangled, could there be a singular, monstrous awareness lurking behind all masks of consciousness? Such notions are not strangers to human thought. Occult traditions have muttered of an all and unfathomable intellect, the unfathomable abyss from which reality itself oozes. Hermetic and Eastern philosophies have long whispered about Brahman, a silent and eternal source that becomes all things, manifesting through untold faces. Wheeler's chilling suggestion echoes these ancient fears. The idea that the universe is the dream of a consciousness so vast it dwarfs our individuality, so alien it might not know mercy or meaning. If that's true, what is our role amid such nightmares? Perhaps we are both the dreamers and the dreamed, trapped in a game whose rules we only pretend to understand. Are we merely scattered pieces of a universal consciousness, isolated in our separate selves as we try to make sense of reality? Or are we, perhaps, hesitant co-creators alongside a distant cosmic intelligence, forever yearning to understand our role in shaping the universe? These questions muddle the boundary between knowledge and faith, leaving us adrift as we try to grasp the heart of existence. Our perception, so fragile and incomplete, limits us to a narrow slice of reality. What we can see, what we can hear, and what our minds can bear to comprehend. The world rushes past, mostly out of reach, as we struggle to piece together meaning from the fragments our senses let in. And yet, every now and then, faint patterns, fleeting connections, and the gentle suggestion of an underlying order flicker into view, raising the hope of a greater purpose behind it all. It's tempting to see these patterns as hints from something much larger, an elusive intelligence quietly choreographing this lonely dance of being. Recent science tiptoes around these mysteries. Quantum mechanics, with its odd ties and distant echoes, teases a universe more tangled than we can map. Neuroscience suggests that our conscious cells may be spread thin across body and mind, never quite whole. Fields like cosmology and theoretical physics evoke laws that border on the poetic, as if the universe itself aches to express something just beyond our understanding. Still, the yearning for a reality that's alive and meaningful is met with silence. For all our searching, the awareness we imagine behind the cosmos slips through our grasp. No instrument can pin it down, no formula can distill its truth. What remains is a kind of beautiful, persistent ache, an unanswered longing shared in the half-light between what we know and what we hope to find. We catch brief glimpses of this connection in the quiet awe of a sunset, the fleeting comfort of human closeness, or the silent expanse stretching above us on a clear night. In such moments, we sense ourselves drawing on something larger, though it remains just out of reach. They serve as gentle reminders that we're woven into the fabric of the universe, not outsiders but small parts moving within its unending currents. Yet, this knowledge can feel more haunting than assuring. Realizing our participation in this mysterious process doesn't tie our loose ends into neat bows. It sometimes highlights just how little we truly grasp. If the fabric of reality is shaped by observation, then awareness becomes both bridge and barrier, connecting us with possibilities, but also measuring out just how delicate that link can be. We do not merely witness existence, we serve as brief vessels for something far vaster, shaping a world we can never quite possess. With this comes the ache of knowing our lives aren't isolated, but infinitesimal in a process that rolls on long after our part is played. So how do we move with this grandeur, rather than against it? Methods drawn from thinkers like Wheeler offer hints, but rarely comfort. Practices such as meditation can sharpen our attention and strip our perspective of judgment, while visualization and intention may give us the illusion of guiding our thread within the tapestry. Simple curiosity pulls us onward, nudging us to try, to reach, to find meaning, though even these acts sometimes reinforce how ephemeral and uncertain our roles truly are. These approaches serve as more than mere methods for personal advancement. They're ways of tapping into the participatory nature of existence and sensing ourselves with its rhythms. When we interact with reality from this perspective, life no longer appears as a collection of disconnected incidents, but as a living dance between awareness and creation itself. It becomes clear that our involvement doesn't just impact our own experience, it resonates through the fabric of the universe. With this realization comes a sense of responsibility. If we help shape what unfolds, the manner in which we engage takes on real significance. Are we meeting life with openness and empathy, or letting indifference and fear set the tone? In a participatory universe, our choices aren't confined to our own story. They send ripples through the larger tapestry we all inhabit. Wheeler's principle pushes us to consciously influence this outcome, to act and observe in ways that foster harmony and connection. Yet, no matter how deep our involvement, a profound question remains unanswered. If the cosmos is truly participatory, then who or what is guiding the orchestra behind it all? Is there something or someone watching from the shadows beyond our understanding? Some unfathomable intelligence weaving the tapestry of everything? Or is the whole of reality just an endless, recursive illusion, an Ouroboros with no origin, no escape? Wheeler never pretended to possess the ultimate truth. Maybe that's where the real horror lurks. The participatory anthropic principle doesn't promise comfort. Instead, it drags us into the unknown and leaves us tangled in questions that squirm and mutate rather than settle into answers. Reality isn't a placid riddle, safely solved and set aside. It's a relentless, shifting force that draws us in, implicating us in its creation, a restless entity that uses us as its instruments. As our descent through these ideas concludes, one fact looms: the universe is more unpredictable, more connected, and far stranger than any safe myth. We aren't mere bystanders trapped in an indifferent world. We are players pressed into the chaos of cosmic ritual, making ripples in the darkness even as it remakes us in return. So, now that the curtain's been pulled back, and all you can see is the deep undercurrent of uncertainty, how will you act? How will you shape the dark tide? And what forbidden secrets might surface if you truly accept your part in the shadow-laden weave of existence?